Welcome to Mission Viejo Today. I'm your host, Mayor Trish Kelley, and I'm here today to discuss a critical topic that tragically impacts the lives of too many people, including our youth. High school students enjoy participating in fun activities all year long, like sporting events, dances, proms, and soon graduation celebrations. But it's important for us to reflect on the dangers of driving under the influence. Fortunately, our community has embraced an awareness campaign to bring attention to this life-threatening and altering issue by staging dramatic and emotional mock DUI crashes on our school campuses. Today, we are going to further explore the importance of these events with Orange County Fire Authority Captain Paramedic Steve Concialdi, who is also the founder of FAD, Friends Against Drinking and Driving. I had an engaging conversation with you, Steve. It was about 10 years ago on this same topic. So for our viewers, can you please describe what is a DUI, mock DUI crash assembly? What does it entail? What does it look like?
Thanks for having me, Mayor Kelley. A mock DUI crash is a reenactment of an actual accident that occurred here in Saddleback Valley in the late 1980s. So we've recreated that with a lot of the same dramatic effects and the injuries and the deaths to show these students that are sitting 15, 20, 30 feet away what happens when you make that poor decision and you drink and drive or you ride with somebody that's been drinking. So this accident that you'll witness here was a two-car accident. There were 4 students coming from an after party, basically either the prom, a winter formal dance. The actual reenactment was after a winter formal dance, and they collided with another vehicle. And in that accident, 3 people ended up dying and a number of people were hurt. And so again, these students are just feet away from seeing what happens when somebody makes a poor choice. And we bring in the Orange County Fire Authority, the Orange County Sheriff's Department, the California Highway Patrol. Mission Hospital is a wonderful partner with us, and they provide all the moulage, and they make up the students, look really the student actors, as well as the radio nurse, just like when our paramedics would contact the hospital because they're one of our trauma centers. And then we have O'Connor Mortuary, another great partner who too often they deal with these tragic, life-altering events where people die and they have to host a funeral. And then Care Ambulance, our local ambulance company in this area, as well as a number of different, the towing companies, from Preferred Towing to S&K Towing to some of the others, Quality Towing. They're just some great partners in here. The tip volunteers, which you probably have had some of the tip people on before in the blue vest, that actually come out just to the basically to these dramatic scenes, no matter if it's somebody that dies at the home or on the street. And then our law enforcement partners, the California Highway Patrol and the Orange County Sheriff's Department. So it's all of us coming together to recreate this real life incident, and we're showing these students what happens when somebody makes a poor choice.
Wow, it really is a huge event, and I attended the last one that was held at Capistrano Valley High School, which is where my 3 kids attended, and I have been a number of times to that school, as well as I know you also do the program at Mission Viejo High School and at Trabuco Hills High School, so I try to go every time it is at one of our local high schools, and I'm always amazed at the production, how many people, how many resources you've pulled in, and the reality of it. It feels very real when you're there and you see this.
Yeah, we're, again, a few feet away, and we have a great sound person, Brandon Moshenko. He's one of the DJs. He does a lot of the school dances, everything, so he's well known in the community. The sound is outstanding, as well as our Orange County Fire Authority, AV folks. They come out and help out. So it's just a well-oiled machine. We've been doing it for 33 years. Our very first one was in May of 1991 at Santa Margarita Catholic High School. and we do anywhere between 3 and 6 a year. Obviously, during COVID, there was a year or two that we didn't do any for 1 year, and then maybe one the next year. But we've done 125 of these that Friends Against Drinking and Driving and myself have been intimately responsible for putting on and organizing. But our partners in the community, the Sheriff's Department, the California Highway Patrol, the Orange County Fire Authority, and all the other partners, Mission Hospital that I mentioned, they look forward to doing these. And it is a huge commitment, but it's probably the activities directors as well as the principals say of all their events and their programs and their assemblies during the year, this is the most impactful because people talk about it. I just, before this, I was at Starbucks and I was talking to Joe, who knows me, and there was a couple of the girls that work at Starbucks that went to Capo, so they came in and talked about it. Other students came in, and then he said, I went to Tesoro High School, and I remember when you did ours, and right there in Tesoro Creek, and then somebody behind me goes, I graduated from Chibuco Hills High School in 2004, and that affected me for months because her friend had died in the crash. So it's something that's been in the community for many years, again, 33 years, but again, it's everybody working together to make a difference.
It really is an amazing program. And I know you do it you try to do every 2 years at each high school, multiple high schools around Orange County. So you include the juniors and the seniors, and they, at Capo High School, they all came out and they sat on the grass and sat on the walls and sat around, so they were just feet from this incident. And speaking of that topic, we are going to be airing video from this event, and I want to remind our viewers that this is just a reenactment, and the students you are seeing are actors dramatizing a horrific tragedy. So we will be going through that video. It will be airing as we speak. So I just want to remind the audience that it is just a reenactment. It looks very real. So Steve, what a commitment it has been for you and these other partners throughout the years. You have been so dedicated to this program, in addition to your job as an Orange County Fire Authority firefighter, paramedic, captain. So I'm so grateful that you have done this. You said 125 programs over the last 33 years. I know what an impact this has on the students, but can you walk us through a little bit of the behind the scenes? You've talked about the different partners, but how does it all originate and set up? Do you go to the drama students, or what do you do?
So that's a great question. So starts with the schools. Like you said, most schools do it every other year. And for the last number of years, we're just doing the South Orange County high schools. But the schools contact first, and then they'll come up with a date. And they have to work around testing and different events and holidays and when sporting events and other assemblies. So it's a commitment and the schools often call a year before or beginning of the school year to get it on their books because it's great. They look forward to it the whole year. Some schools do the every 15-minute program where it's a 2-day event. Other schools just do the mock DUI crash, and that's what we do. We just specialize in the mock DUI crash, and it's just neat. So my local Cosmos that we live by, we've been going to years, right there on Oso and Antonio. One of the girls that works there is Peyton, and so when I went to we always do a pre-production meeting. She's in there, and I'm like, Peyton, what are you doing? And she goes, I'm playing the dead person on the hood. I'm like, oh, and it's always tough when you know somebody like that. And over the years, the schools will identify who's playing every role, and I send them everything they need for the day, just the assignments for the day and the different roles. And then once in a while, I'll look at that and I'll say, oh, I know the parents, or the parents will call and say, I don't want my son or daughter to be the dead one. Oh. And we'll massage it a little bit. But this one, Peyton goes, I'm going to be playing the dead girl. And I'm like, okay. And she was great. You'll see her. She was the one laying on the hood. And it's just neat afterwards. We'll take pictures with the students, and they're smiling. But during the pre-production meeting, there's a lot of questions. And so we've been doing it again for 33 years. So I have a lot of different videos. So we'll show one of the ones we did at their school. And a lot of them are on YouTube. FAD has their own website as well. And so we'll do a video podcast where we have Jonathan Chance comes out, and it's a reenactment, and he does a great job with those. And so we'll show them those. But we just walk through the whole thing. And again, it's not really scripted. Now we have an ultimate script. We have a radio paramedic. This is Joel McLean that's been doing it. I think the very first one he did was in 1993. So he's done most of them as a radio paramedic. You'll see him talking on the phone to the hospital, to the Mission Hospital. But in this meeting, we just go through everybody's role, and then we have certain things that we do at all of them, but the students aren't given exact words to say. It's a lot of ad-libbing, a lot of visual and facial and expressions and emotions, and most of the times they stay in character. And we give them tips, no physical contact, because every once in a while the hysterical girl in the back seat gets angry at the drunk driver and wants to shake him or hit him or kick him, and that's happened before. And so we go, we can't do that. And so there's a lot of laughing that goes on the pre-production meeting, as well as what to say, not to say, no cussing, because we've done this enough. As soon as somebody says a bad word, they laugh. So the students really get into it, and it's an impact for years to come. We'll run into people at a wedding, or I'll see somebody at a graduation or somebody at the store and say, hey, remember me? I was in your mock DUI crash back. Like this gal today at Starbucks said 2004, and she remembered it. So it's just nice. We keep doing this. The cities in Orange County have been super supportive. I've been on this show a couple of times with you and some of the other cities. And we do it like we talked about Tribuco Hills. Well, we do Tribuco Hills on Mustang Run. So the city shuts down Mustang Run for the event. When we do El Toro High School, we do it on Toledo, and we got to get special permission to shut down Toledo. Santa Margarita, it's on a Lost to Paz. Tesoro, we did it on Aliso Creek, or not, Tesoro Creek, right there. But sometimes, like at Capo, it's great because it's the upper student parking lot. It's a great area, but again, it's a lot of coordination. They have to clear all the cars out, and that's where the students get dropped off and picked up. So we have to time it. It's a live production. So we show up right at 8:30 when school is finally starting, and we have about 2 hours to set up all the sound stuff, to get everybody mic'd, to get everybody moulaged, to brief everybody, to kind of go over the last minute things and talk about if somebody actually gets hurt, and it's very rare. But we've done it for 33 years, so I mean, I have some incredible stories over the years. Of
You've seen everything.
I mean, and stuff still happens. And I tell the students, it's not going to be perfect. Something is going to go a little bit awry, but we have redundancy and backup plans, and like you'll see probably, I think Robert and Eric got some great footage of the girl ripping off in the white dress the yellow blanket off of Peyton, who was on the hood. That's super impactful. And so there's a code word, and only her and I know that code word, because there's always FAD helpers that want to, if they know the code word, they'll say, like this one, scout. Hey, scout, scout. Well, we've done it so many times. So there's natural lulls in the program, and so we introduced some more drama. And that's one. So in the beginning, all the fire, some of the fire units respond in, the CHP or the sheriffs respond in, and then they're walking around. Joel's talking to the hospital, and then all of a sudden there's a little natural lull, and then we introduce that, and it just brings more drama to the scene, and then more things happen, and then 2/3 of the way we bring in a mom.
Yes, and like you say, so impactful. And I know my 3 kids all remember the events when it came to Capo High School, when they were students there. I had fun chatting with some of the students who were in the production, and they were ASB students, drama students, and really reflected the school. It was really fun to be able to chat with them, and I know the drunk driver, or the driver who was under the influence, he said, "This is who I'm playing, but I would never do that." And it was also interesting as I watch these productions, I look at the audience, I look at the students, and I want to see what their reactions are. And I see tears, and it really can be very emotional for the students. And so we're actually going to hear from some of the students in an interview at the scene, and we will be asking them what their reaction was. So stay tuned for that. We'll be able to see that coming up.
Because it's a very diverse group. So we asked the school, just basically all walks of the school. So there are drama students that perform, there are athletes, there are people from ASB, there's people from the band, chess club, whatever their club, and we just get all walks of life. Because what we want is the audience to associate, oh, that's my friend, and they call each other by the names when the bystanders come running in, 5 or 6 of them, and they'll say, oh my gosh, Peyton, oh, this is my Peyton, wake up, or Luke. And everybody has a friend out there, and so they're like, man, Luke is really hurt, or Peyton's hurt. Look at, I don't think she's moving. So it is a very diverse group, and they do a phenomenal job. And it's amazing. Like the mom comes in, that's very dramatic. And Brandy, she used to work for Orange County Fire, and she now works in Tennessee for a fire department as their director of communications and a public information officer. And FAD flew her out for this. She had, which I didn't know until that day, but she has a niece and nephew that go to Capital, junior and senior, and so that was a surprise to them. But she played the mom the last couple of years in some of our events and really wanted to come out again. So I said, I would love to have you come out. And so she picked one and she came out. Then at the end, and you probably have this when Officer Brian Kinsey spoke.
Yes, he is the highway patrol officer, and he had a story to tell as well. It really, those stories just really hit because you hear a real life incident related to what we're seeing. And I have known some of the students in the past, some of the student actors, and it just, as well as the mother.
Right.
And it just really, really hits you in the heart. And I know it has impacted the students. This saves lives. It's one of those intangible things that we don't know how many lives it saves, but we know it saves lives. So I'm so grateful that you have done this for so many years. We are going to spend some time listening to some of those who were at the event, some of the students. So I will ask our camera crew to take a moment to hear from a few of those students.
I think it sends a good message, and it spreads awareness to obviously not drink and drive on the roads, and to take something as exciting as a senior junior prom and turn it into something really traumatic for everyone.
Just like watching out for my friends, and then being like an example in like a DUI crash, so that they have someone to like relate to, and so that when they're seeing this, they can it hits closer to home, so that like it reinforces not to do it.
I thought it was definitely very realistic, and it just really brings to light that these situations can definitely happen, and it happens a lot more than you see. And you can just see like the trauma within like the students and like the people that were there when it happened, and also like the driver, and like how just like drinking just a little bit can just affect everything and like take so many people's lives.
Today, it was very surreal and eye-opening, the effects of drinking and driving, especially with like our friends and the people we love so much. It's a very like experience that I'll probably always remember and think about and go back to. I think every student needs to see this, and it's something that I wouldn't wish upon anyone, but I think it's like part of the realities we need to see.
It felt weird because seeing the horror on the people around you's faces, because it's not that you messed up, it's that people can't look at you the same because you did something so horrible.
I just think it's really powerful to see like all of your friends in a situation that you don't want to be in when they're hurt and you just don't know, because this wasn't real, but like real things like this happen. And I just think it's really necessary to draw attention to that. And I know I saw a few people in the audience kind of like silently crying, and I think that's the message we want to kind of drive across, because I really wanted people to see themselves in our positions and make good decisions, so something like this would never happen.
Absolutely. It happens far too often, unfortunately, and it makes a huge impact on everybody there, because even though the ER, we're separate than the trauma department, the trauma's in the ER. So when the families come in and the chaplains come, shakes up the whole department, unfortunately, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, as a mom of 4, I think that the message is that this can happen to anybody, anywhere. It's not something that anyone is excluded from, and it is a real problem. It's a real pressure point for a lot of these kids today in high school. And so I think just understanding that your decisions, your actions have consequences. And if you see somebody in that situation, be the person that tries to put a stop to it and keep everybody safe.
August 8th, 2012, I get a call from my sister letting me know that my other sister, Kristen Foster, was killed in a crash. She was walking down the street just as a pedestrian, and she was ran over by somebody who was impaired by drugs. Killed her instantly, and that kind of point made me realize that what I'm doing is great, but I need the help from everybody else as well. It's not just law enforcement officers or the fire department out there that can stop these incidents from happening. It's everybody. It's the students here. It's when they grow up. It's the peer pressure of getting behind the wheel after having something to drink or taking any drugs or anything like that. Take personal accountability, basically, and just let others know of the dangers of drinking and driving and taking drugs and driving. Because it doesn't just affect that one person. It affects the families, the brothers, the sisters, the parents, nephews, nieces. So it's very important that everybody realizes that.
It means so much. It's really appreciate the support and those that help provide it, to be able to bring something that's really real to kids and is a lasting visualization of ultimately the dangers and struggles with drunk driving, both in the United States and locally.
Welcome back to Mission Viejo today. It was great to hear from some of the students, the actors, the bystanders, the nurse, the
My
who
daughter
just happened to be your daughter, the emergency room nurse
at Mission Hospital, right?
At Mission Hospital, and what she sees, as well as the highway patrol and the principal. So it's really good that we were able to capture these reflections from those people who were there as well. So after your 33 years doing this, you're obviously committed to it, you've been committed to it, and you obviously know there's a value. What do you see after 33 years of doing this? What do you see are the results?
Well, our numbers are dramatically lower. Back in 70s, 80s, 90s, that's why the every 15-minute program. That came from that every 15 minutes somebody is seriously injured or killed in a drinking and driving related accident. And so that's staggering. And so those numbers have dropped dramatically, as well as the arrest too. If a student gets pulled over and they've been drinking, they're going to be arrested. And that changes their life, dramatically. If they cause an accident and somebody's injured, that's a felony. And so we're trying to avoid those. So I strongly believe we've saved many lives. We won't know how many, but every time we do a presentation, I'm reminded about a story. So we did San Clemente High School just a couple months ago, and Shane Mall, who's our division chief with Orange County Fire for this area, he basically mentioned that in 1998, when he was at San Clemente High School, 2 of his friends were tragically killed in an accident, drinking and driving related accident. And I was able to share that with the students afterwards. And it's powerful to be able to he just told me that before, and I was able to, when I spoke to the audience afterwards, I shared that story. This one with Brian Kinsey, Officer Kinsey, I've known him for a number of years. He's never told me that story. And it was Aaron Rothberg, also from CHP. We were the public information officers together back when I was from 2013 through 2016, and he was a CHP public affairs officer. And so we worked together a lot. And so he's retiring in November. So I've been trying to get him out this year to do the field sobriety test. So he was out there. So at the very end, I spoke, and the principal was about to say a few words, and I turned and I asked Brian, Officer Kinsey, hey, where's Aaron? Would he want to say a few words? And he goes, oh, he's still sitting in the car with the drunk driver, but how about I say a few words? I mean, and it was powerful because he was in the Navy. He talked about that they had a zero tolerance, and how some of those sailors were caught drinking and driving, and they had to leave the Navy. Then 4 of his fellow sailors were killed in a drunk driving, and that was powerful enough. And then all of a sudden, he talked about when he was a new CHP officer, his sister was killed by an impaired driver, and that was like, I mean, that hit all of us.
Yes.
And I had no idea, so it was very powerful.
It is, and I know you mentioned in the presentation to the students that it's not always just alcohol. There is distracted driving, text messaging, cell phone, looking at your cell phone, street racing, and then I think we are seeing more and more marijuana impaired students too, because our state has legalized marijuana for those of age for recreational use. But I think the fact that it's legal now, it's easier for young people to obtain. So I know we're seeing an increase in that as well. So it's not only alcohol. Right. Alcohol is the predominant one, I believe. Yes. But there are these other forms of distraction and impairment that we need to be aware of. And I'm really hoping that all of the parents out there, as well as the students, will really take note of this. Talk to your kids, students, talk to each other. As you said, don't ever drink and drive or use a drug and drive, and don't get in a car with someone who has been drinking. So there are other options out there, and you were so good at encouraging the students. And I want to just share that message and encourage our parents and our community members as well to remember that. So there is so much information here, and is there anything else that you would like to share with us about FAD or about your work or about how viewers can get involved?
Right, so these shows help, just like you said. When we do these presentations and when we have programs like this, it just elicits that dialogue with the parents, brothers and sisters, aunts and uncles, and it gives a chance there, because we live in a social society where most everything we do, there's alcohol involved somewhere. If we go to a sporting event, we have people over, have people to our house, go out to dinner. So we just need to plan ahead and make sure we're not drinking and driving or riding with somebody that's been drinking. And so it really, it shows them firsthand from a dramatic presentation what can take place. So we're hoping people will learn from those. Again, parents will talk to their kids and come up with, because it's better they pick them up or they have somebody pick them up or take an Uber, a Lyft, than being involved in an accident like this, because they still occur. Again, they've dramatically been reduced, but they still occur. I mean, in San Clemente, just recently there was 2 teenagers. They were both under the influence and they crashed after a party, and that's just hard. We had just did the mock DUI crash, and we heard from other students and teachers, and they were disappointed too. But again, it's, you know, we're out there, our law enforcement, the Orange County Sheriffs are wonderful. This California Highway Patrol, we're lucky to have, and they're just trying to keep us all safe, because there's so much distraction from our phone. People are looking at them. Almost daily we get a crash of somebody, and they're not horrific accidents, but it's the rear end, or somebody's bumping into, or hits the curb or a tree, or because they're distracted and they get caught on something. You know, they think, oh, I can just look at this quick text, and all of a sudden they hit somebody in front of them, or they veer off and they hit the curb and they overcorrect. It's too common, so we have to be careful. So again, these programs, just being on this TV show, hopefully somebody will think about, I'll wait, I won't text right now, I'll just put it down and we'll think about it. That'll save, you know, one less accident.
And one of the really good things about this program, I always used to tell my kids, and I tell young people, learn from the mistakes of others. It's so much easier to learn from the mistakes of others than to go through these experiences yourself. So this does give the students and the community a way to learn from the mistakes of others and to hopefully learn a lesson that they can carry and will go with them. So Steve, I am just amazed and so grateful for your decades-long commitment to this program. And I know that it has made an impact. We've heard of the impact it's made, and again, it's intangible how many lives are saved, but I know that lives are saved because of you and your program. So thank you so much for all of your past service. And I want to thank our audience today for your interest in this important effort and for joining us here today on Mission Viejo Today.